Okay, I'm so glad you're interested in any way at all in a place to talk and you want to be a part of this conversation. We're reading all of the red letters. That's the series we're in. We're coming to this is our fourth or fifth talk in the red letters. We're in John chapter 1, verses 38 through 51, where Jesus says, "What do you want? Come and you will see. And you are Simon, son of Jonah. You will be called Cephas or Peter." Okay, so what's going on here? Well, these disciples have, well, they're not really disciples. They're nobody's students. They're not part of any Talmudim. They have been basically rejected and left without a rabbi. No rabbi has asked these guys to follow them, but Jesus comes along, and these awkward guys who maybe that's the reason. Maybe they've been, and I'm just guessing that they're awkward. I'm guessing that they're, for some reason though, no rabbi asked them to follow him. And so Jesus is here. They're kind of straggling along behind Jesus, and Jesus asks them, "What do you want?" And they want to know where he's staying. Now, that probably wasn't the real question, but what do you want? When Jesus asked this, was he uncovering not just curiosity, but the deep hunger of two men who didn't make it in the rabbinic system? How do we respond today when socially awkward people in our lives show us their deepest needs? Or do we even take the time to ask them what they really want? Maybe that's what we should be doing. Maybe we should be asking people more often, what is it that you want? What do you want? Psychologically, could Jesus's question reveal that many people who follow us aren't looking for friendship or success, but they're actually looking for belonging? What happens if we misinterpret awkward followers as burdens instead of people searching for a place to belong or a place to be, maybe to call home? "Where are you staying?" they asked. The disciples didn't ask, "Can we be your students?" but simply, "Where are you staying?" I don't think they knew what to ask. What does this tell us about the longing of people who may not feel good enough to ask for more? And how do we respond to someone when they awkwardly just kind of circle our lives, hoping just for proximity or just for a place to be? Where are you staying? Is there a difference between staying and striving? The world often tells us to climb that social ladder, yet these men just wanted to be near Jesus. I found myself at times striving and climbing and fighting. Maybe not for a social climb, not climbing up a social ladder, but just striving to have everything I want and to get everything I want and to accomplish everything I want. Um, could ambition maybe be a problem? Is there a way that we should balance ambition with presence, especially towards those who maybe the world thinks has no social value? "Come and you will see," Jesus said. Jesus didn't give them credentials or tests. He simply invited them to see for themselves. Do we exclude people from our circles because they don't have the right look or the right education or even the right confidence or persona? Maybe what they need is a come and see, a welcoming in. Um, how radical was it that Jesus welcomed the awkward tagalongs instead of curating a perfect inner circle? See, all these other rabbis had been picking out of the crowd. All right, you can be my rabbi, you can be my rabbi, but that's not what happened with these guys. These guys were they were kind of just being left behind. Would our communities look different if we measured greatness not by who we attract, but who we made space for? Um, are you willing to make space for people in your life? Jesus reminded Peter at their very first meeting. I'm sorry, he didn't remind Peter, he renamed Peter. Peter was renamed by Jesus at their very first meeting before Peter had proved anything. Theologically, does this reveal God's pattern of calling the foolish and the weak to shame the strong? How might we treat people differently if we saw their future potential instead of just their present awkwardness? I wonder if Jesus, when he called Peter Petra, the big rock, called him rock. I wonder if Peter, at that point in his life, had been maybe the opposite of a rock. Maybe he had been soft. Maybe he had been weak, and Jesus was calling him something more. What does it mean that Jesus gave dignity and identity to someone that the world had overlooked? Psychologically, how much of human transformation begins not with self-effort, but not with, doing it yourself, but with just someone believing in you? Man, I know that when I get in my head that maybe I don't belong on the court with some great basketball players, and when I say great, I mean great compared to me. But when I get in my head that I can compete and I belong, I play so much better. What you believe is so important. Historical, theological debate, okay? In history, there's been this battle between Augustine and Pelagius. Basically, it's that free will versus predestination battle. Do you think these awkward disciples, they were following Jesus because God's grace drew them to him, or were they just desperate and looking for any rabbi? I think how we answer that question might change our view of how we interact with others. What if it's not free will or predestination? What if it's both? What if I've always liked to say, what if God predestined that all should come, every single one? And what if realizing that and thinking that way would change our lives? What do you want at the bottom of the social ladder? Many people only want to be seen. Do we as Christians seek, or do we risk greatness when we climb higher and ignore those that are below us? What if we're supposed to keep striving and doing all that we can do, but we're always supposed to have a hand out reaching to bring somebody along? And what if it's important that we never get so focused on climbing the ladder that we forget the people who we want to bring along? Okay, these are the questions we'll be talking about at A Place to Talk on Sunday. We're just talking about those simple words of Jesus. What do you want? Come and you will see. And Simon, you are now going to be Peter.